I've always found solace in late-night strolls. The tranquility of the surroundings makes life feel more manageable. As a seasoned welder with over 4 decades of experience, I've grown accustomed to the quiet. Living alone on a sprawling farm with my loyal companion Bosley, a dog, can be overwhelming at times. The house seems too spacious for one person, but I've been reluctant to downsize since my wife Maria's passing. Our children have long since moved out, leaving me and Bosley to our solitary lives. One evening, after a grueling day in the workshop, I embarked on a walk to clear my mind. The cool breeze and Bosley's gentle trot beside me were soothing. As I approached the house, I caught a glimpse of movement in the second-story window, the same window that overlooks our old bedroom. For an instant, I thought I saw someone. I froze, my eyes fixed on the window. There was no logical explanation for anyone being in there. I'd been in that room in years, unable to bring myself to enter. My anger surged at the thought of an intruder. I hastened inside, my heart racing, and rushed upstairs. The room was empty, just as I'd left it. No signs of disturbance. I searched every nook and cranny but found nothing. Feeling somewhat foolish, I couldn't shake off the feeling that someone had indeed been there. The next night, Bosley's growling woke me. He's a reliable companion, never barking unless necessary. I sat up, listening intently, and detected creaking sounds coming from upstairs, directly above my room. I considered grabbing my rifle but decided against it. Instead, I armed myself with a flashlight and investigated. Once again, I found nothing amiss. The room was untouched. My anxiety began to eclipse my anger. Something felt off in the house. The following night, I discovered the kitchen lights on, which I distinctly remembered turning off before bed. There was no doubt, someone was sneaking around. I alerted the authorities, and they conducted a thorough search but found no evidence. They were courteous, but I sensed skepticism. The next night was the most unsettling. Unable to sleep, I decided to check the bedroom again. As I opened the door, I was met with a shocking sight. Clothes scattered everywhere. Maria's clothes, which I'd packed away after her passing. Then, I saw her, a woman standing in the doorway, staring at me. Her face was obscured, but I noticed she was shorter than Maria. I didn't recognize her, and she didn't belong. Fear gripped me, and I charged towards her. She fled downstairs and out the front door. By the time I reached outside, she was gone. Bosley and I scoured the property, but there was no sign of her. That night, and many that followed, I lay awake, anticipating footsteps upstairs. Every creak made me jump. I kept my rifle nearby, prepared to defend myself. Months passed, and the encounters continued. One night, I spotted her standing in the yard, gazing at me through the window. My heart stopped. I grabbed my rifle and rushed outside, Bosley by my side. She stood still, a silhouette in the moonlight, watching me. I fired warning shots, and she vanished into the darkness. I stood there, waiting for her return, but she didn't reappear. It's been a while since the last sighting, but I'm prepared for the next encounter. I'm not sure how much more of this I can endure. Bosley's been a constant source of comfort. I don't know what I'd do without him. As a catering service employee, I'm often on the road late at night, driving a massive truck. The hours are grueling, and the job isn't what I envisioned for myself. Some nights, I'm too wired to sleep, while others, I collapse into bed, exhausted. One night, driving home around 2 a.m., I stopped at a McDonald's for a late-night snack. As I waited in the drive-thru, I noticed an old, beat-up Volkswagen parked in the corner of the lot. It seemed out of place since the restaurant was only accepting drive-thru orders at that hour. I got my food and left, pondering where to eat. As I drove away, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about the Volkswagen. Maybe it was just someone enjoying a meal in their car, but it seemed unusual. Let me know if this version meets your requirements, or if you need further adjustments. I live in a pretty sweet area with tons of options, but I didn't want to waste time driving around since it was already late. There's this massive nature preserve literally right down the street from my house, situated on a mountain and basically just a huge forest. The best part is the scenic lookout point at the peak with an insane view of the city. There's a road that loops around the preserve and takes you straight to the top, which is awesome during the day. After hours, though, the road's closed to cars, but it's still a convenient path to hike up to the lookout. My friends and I used to go there all the time back in high school. It was our go-to spot when we wanted to chill outside. We'd hang out, talk, smoke, or just take in the view. I hadn't been back in a while because I'd been slammed with work, so I figured it'd be a good chance to relive some old memory. When I pulled into the preserve's parking area, more like a big gravel patch off the side of the road, it was deserted. Like I said, the preserve was closed, so I'd have to hike up to the lookout. Before I could even turn off the engine, I saw headlights pulling in. That was weird enough on its own. Then I realized it was the same Volkswagen from the McDonald's parking lot. I was 100% sure it was the same car. I parked a little ways away and killed the engine. Unease started creeping in. What were the chances of running into the same car twice? Had they followed me? My window was partially rolled down, and I couldn't hear any music coming from their car. After a minute or so of nothing happening, my fear started to fade. Maybe they were just there for the same reason I was, some fresh air or a smoke break. It's a popular spot for that kind of thing, but the timing was just really off. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, even though I told myself it was just a weird coincidence. I sat there for a bit, debating whether to bail. I didn't want to leave, but I didn't want to be alone either. I grabbed my phone and FaceTimed one of my close friends who lived nearby. I told myself that if he didn't pick up, I'd just head home. But he answered, and we chatted for a bit. He'd been up writing a paper and agreed to swing by and hang out. He said he'd be there in 10. While I waited, I kept an eye on the Volkswagen. It still hadn't moved. When Sebastian finally pulled in, I felt a lot better. We both got out of our cars and started walking up the path. Before the parking lot disappeared from view, I glanced back. The Volkswagen was still there, but then I saw all 4 doors open at once. 4 guys got out and just stood there, looking at each other. It was super creepy. I nudged Sebastian, and he caught on. We kept walking, trying not to draw attention to ourselves. Alarm bells were going off in my head, but Sebastian seemed pretty chill about it. He told me they were probably just going for a smoke. We kept climbing, and by the time we reached the top, the view was enough to distract me from the weirdness. We sat on the rock wall, eating and talking like old times. It was nice. Of course, that didn't last. We heard talking and laughter approaching. 3 guys came into view, sharing a blunt. They seemed friendly enough, which calmed me down a bit. But instead of finding their own spot, they walked right up to us like they wanted to chat. The guy with the blunt had tons of tattoos and a nose ring. He looked intimidating, but he flashed a half smile and offered us a hit. We declined, and one of his friends called us pussies. My curiosity got the better of me, and I asked them about McDonald's. The guy with the blunt dropped his smile and narrowed his eyes. His friends did the same, staring at us with cold expressions. They didn't say anything for a while. That's when I remembered there were 4 guys in the car, not 3. One was missing. I was ready to bolt. Sebastian seemed to be thinking the same thing. Finally, the ringleader explained that he worked nights at McDonald's and had just gotten off. He showed us his uniform, claiming he came to the spot every day after work to smoke with his friends. It sounded plausible, but something still felt off. We decided it was time to leave. As we started walking down the path, Sebastian pointed into the trees. I followed his gaze and saw the 4th guy, partially hidden in the darkness. He was holding something, but I couldn't make out what. The moment he saw us looking, he started moving towards us. That's when we took off. We ran down the path. I grew up in a quiet area where not much exciting happens. In high school, my friends and I would often explore abandoned buildings, looking for thrills and adventure. One of our favorite spots was an old, abandoned church in Narberth, Pennsylvania. We'd climb over the 8-foot fence and enter through a side window, making our way down to the basement. The church was creepy, but it was our go-to spot for late-night escapades. One fall evening, a group of us decided to sneak in and have a few drinks. The night was chilly, and the air was crisp. We'd been there a couple of times before, but this time something felt off. As we were hanging out in the basement, a loud door slam echoed through the room. We all froze, looking at each other in concern. At first, we thought one of us might have accidentally closed the door, but no one was near it. Some of my friends panicked and ran upstairs, leaving a few of us to investigate. We cautiously approached the door and found a small room with a dresser and a cracked mirror. There were red stains on the mirror that looked fresh, and an old photo of a woman in a wedding dress. The atmosphere felt eerie, and we soon heard another noise coming from another room. That's when we decided to leave quickly. As we climbed back over the fence, I could have sworn I saw a figure standing in the window. I've often wondered if my mind was playing tricks on me, but the experience left a lasting impression. My friends and I never went back to that church together again. Years later, I visited the site again, but the church was gone, demolished. I'm still curious about what happened in that place, and I've often thought about digging deeper into its history.